Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of MotorCast. So I'm Homer, one of your hosts, as you already know, and I have Rahim, the freaking legend.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to MotorCast. Before we get going, man, let me tell you something, Homer. When I was a kid, all my life, I dreamed of being Superman, and I feel like us getting behind the camera is like me putting the cape on and helping people. So I'm super freaking excited for this episode.
Let me tell you that my favorite superhero is Spider-Man.
You know, if I hear you any better, I was gonna say it was Spider-Man.
Bro, I mean, Spider-Man is a photographer, so I gotta be Spider-Man.
Oh, Peter Parker.
So, everyone, today we're gonna talk about something that is happening. It's like a more professional event that's happening in the whole United States right now, which is something that I don't even know what's happening. So we're gonna have a discussion or a conversation with Rahim in which he's gonna be explaining me in order for you to understand that what's happening with the whole UWA. Or UAW.
It's going to be UAW, United Auto Workers Union for Auto Workers Association.
Oh my God, I wouldn't be able to say that.
I probably said it wrong too, but I know it's UAW. I know that for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, this is like an emergency episode. I felt like Homer and I felt like there was just a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And one thing that was heavy on my heart was a lot of times when situations like this are happening, I'm usually the least informed person, especially when it's not about the auto business. And I feel like I just let a lot of whatever is going on in the news or whatever is going on social media just kind of get in my head and make me feel like something is actually happening. The A isn't happening, or two, something is not that serious when it actually is pretty serious. So by no means am I a professional when it comes to this conversation. By no means am I an expert, but I do know a little bit of what's going on. And I felt like just based on the amount of my friends and family members that were reaching out to me that are currently in the car market trying to buy a vehicle, they just seemed very unsure and they had a ton of questions. And I just felt like if they have a ton of questions, I'm sure other people who aren't in the business have some questions, as well as some people that don't really even know what's going on. So I think this is going to be super informative. And unless you have anything right off the get-go, I'll just kind of explain a little bit about what's going on, and then I take it from there.
I think that's the best thing to do, because once you explain, I'm going to have some questions.
Okay, awesome. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit from my phone. Sebastian, our finance manager, he found a little blurb that I think recognizes a good summary of what's going on. And then we'll speak about it for a little bit after that. So it starts with a quote. Auto workers have waited long enough to make things right at the big three. We're not waiting around and we're not messing around. So noon for Friday, September the 22nd is a new deadline. So now that's a follow-up to last Friday. The UAW, a good amount of the workers in the factories, they went on strike. So now the big deal here is this is not just another strike, right? Mm-hmm. This is a strike happening to Ford, Stellantis, and GM all at the same time, from what I understand. So it's not just one company. It's all of our domestic brands facing this. And it's not even just the fact that it's a strike or there's nothing being in production right now. It's just the fact of...
So before, one question came into my mind. So this association is a group of people that is working for different brands and they're all together in one association?
So yeah, I guess the best way I can explain it is, like, I used to be a technician at a dealership, and all the technicians at that dealership and even some others were represented by a union.
Okay.
The union, from what I understand, comes in place to make sure that they look out for the best of the people represented in the union, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't just take advantage of them, and there's just processes and things like that. And again, there's probably a lot more to it that I don't know, but it's a representation. So from what I understand, the UAW is the representation of the workers in the manufacturing plants, mm-hmm. and they happen to represent all three of the big three, the GM, Ford, and Stellantis. And Stellantis, for those who don't know, is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. GM is Buick, Chevy, GMC, and some of our domestic brands. But the big thing I guess I wanna highlight with is, if you didn't know that this was going on, this is something that started last Friday. What was the date on last Friday?
It was 15.
The 15th on Friday.
After my birthday.
2 days after your birthday. So that's when I believe the strike started. Now, I guess I'll get into a little bit more after that. And so Friday, September the 22nd, based on when this comes out and based on when you're watching it, Friday, September the 22nd, it says is a new deadline. I believe at that point they're waiting for different negotiations, see if anything else has come to light, see if there's any agreements being made or anything like that. Now, right away, I want to shed some light on a situation like this. I feel like a lot of times something like this will go on social media, a clip gets cut out from a video, even a quote just like this, right? What I just read, it seems so doom, gloom, and I just want to shed some light. There's definitely some issues, but it's not like production of every single vehicle ever has stopped.
Right.
It's not like we have no vehicles in the tank and there is nothing that you can buy out there. It's none of those things. It's definitely a big deal because from what I understand in the history of the United States, something like this has never happened.
Yeah, that's something that I remember I read because I follow this account, which most of the people that are into car business are gonna know, which is called the Car Dealership Guy.
Shout out Car Dealership Guy.
Yeah,
so get on our podcast. I'll be happy to get on yours too.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. And one thing that is very particular with them is that, or with him, is that no one knows his face. So
that's crazy.
We're closing with a parenthesis on that. And one thing that I read is that this is the first time in, I don't know, 150 years probably, or more than a century, in which this is happening. So one thing is that we're being part of a story of history, if you wanna think it like that. But it's something very interesting that also in the process, what I can feel and tell and understand is that something similar to COVID is happening right now.
So yes and no, right? So again, all of this is going to be my opinion, and I think before we even get into that, I really want to go a little bit deeper into what is the exact situation, right? So again, just because there was a strike announced, just because there is a strike going on, it doesn't mean that everything is stopped. There are a total, from what I understand, 145,000 members of the union, and 12,700 of them are on strike. So it's not like from what I understand, the entire country is shut down, right? These members that have gone on strike, they pretty much they're looking for a few different things, and they're looking for pay increases. They're looking for schedule changes, right? There's some topics about what they believe they should be working, 1 day less a week or a couple hours less a week or something like that, and extended vacation time. And I don't have the quote on this, but from the training I was in, somebody read it out loud that said that somebody from the union or something that was said aloud was, we just want to be able to afford the vehicles we're actually manufacturing. Mm-hmm. You know, and I thought, and I'm not taking sides, and I don't know again enough about the situation to rightfully take a side, but that was just something that stuck out to me. And what I'm getting from my friends and family is exactly what you asked me. Is this going to be like COVID? So what, and I guess I'm still trying to understand exactly what happened during COVID, right? But if you bring it all down to the bare minimum, the demand was super high and the supply was super low, right? And this happened because of the microchips. This happened, in my opinion, because there was so much money pumped into the economy. Right? Like there was people getting PPP loans like crazy, right? I'm not pointing any fingers, but I know there was people who got tens of thousands of dollars in PPP loans that didn't have a business. I know that there was stimulus checks being sent out, and it was easier for people to go buy a vehicle, right? And it was, rates were super low, and it was just a lot going on to help the consumer go get a vehicle. And then at the same time, now there's all these people that are ready to buy. Like, think about tax season, right? What happens during tax season? Everybody gets money, and that this is the purchase they've been waiting to save up for, or waiting to make, or whatever the case is. In the middle of the year, right, or in the middle of 2 years, they pretty much pump so much money into the economy. Now these people that usually maybe would not be making this purchase are now making these purchases and going out and get vehicles, and the supply is so low, right? And so pretty much what started happening at a lot of other dealerships, right? I can proudly say Motivation didn't take part in things like addendums and just taking full advantage of clients or anything like that. But in a lot of dealerships, and actually one of my own experiences when I went and bought a car too, they had prices that were so jacked up on new cars, where on a brand new car, they were charging $10,000 over, $20,000 over. On I had a friend buying a Mercedes EQS, and addendum or whatever you want to call it was $50,000 on a brand new EQS.
Wow.
This is already, from what I understand, $150,000 or $200,000 vehicle, and the addendum charge was $50,000 on top of the sticker.
Wow.
Right? And it just was insanity. And when people are asking me, do I think this is going to be like COVID? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be like COVID, but here is what I've been able to gather thus far, right? There is going to be a scare, right? Depending on where people hear this information, when people hear this information, how they interpret it. Like, for example, imagine the quote I just read cut off right at the end of the quote, right? That said the new deadline is the 22nd. It might make it sound so doom and gloom, like the entire country is shut down and there's nothing happening, right? But then when you read a little bit further, it's 12,700 of the 145,000 workers, all right? So that's the one part. I think there's going to be a scare, and I think that scare could make people want to make decisions that could be quicker, that could impact the economy, that could be like, for example, let's say you and I weren't educated, right? And I just saw there was a strike. And I started buying every single Ford, Chevy, and Stellantis product out there in the auction, right? I'm going to be affecting the auction in a way that it's making it look like prices are going super high, all right? Like, let me give you guys a real example. Since the strike got announced, I've just been keeping a close eye on, Motivation. We definitely serve everybody and anybody, but we specialize in trucks. So as I've been keeping an eye on the trucks, I noticed... so usually what I'll do is I'll have my list and I'll have my high number, right? I sometimes can't control myself, so I have to write that number where, like, hey, no matter what, I can't go over this number. And there was 4 or 5 Silverados that sold in a row. The average was 3,000 over the number I had written down.
Wow.
And usually, like, when I'm buying, I'm not buying to make $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a vehicle. I'm buying to get the vehicle in quick, clean it up pretty quickly, make a small profit, and keep it moving, right? We're in the volume business. So for that average to have gone up over $3,000 on my list, like, that was pretty insane right there.
So do you think that, now that I mentioned that example of the Silverado, do you think that some dealerships might get into, I don't know if I'm going to say it correct, but collective hysteria? Do you know what that is? Like,
I don't. You would have to explain.
So it's basically everyone's going crazy and start buying just because I'm feeling scared of not having inventory.
I'm worried about that, and I think that's something that definitely could happen. I think it's really going to depend on how educated people are and how much research
and also
experience and how much research they're doing on the subject, right? We're blessed that we have inventory, and it's not like even if something were to happen tomorrow, we're gonna run out or anything like that. But imagine some people that already didn't have inventory, right? That weren't already prepared for situations like this. Like, yeah, that is gonna cause some hysteria, right? And somebody who isn't experienced enough, they're gonna go with the trends at the auctions, right? And not pay attention to everything else that's going on, right? So, like, some of my friends and family, they're reaching out to me and point blank, they're asking, should I buy a vehicle right now or should I wait? What do you think the answer would be? I know what I think it is, but I'd love to hear from you.
I mean, I would say, I'm very cautious all the time, so I would say no, I wouldn't buy a vehicle right now. But that's on my ignorance, right?
Yeah, so I would say, like, this is the first time, Like everybody always says it, right? That's like a dealership's go-to line, like time to buy is right now. And I totally believe it. I feel like the time to buy is right now, right? Because if you've been needing a vehicle, if you've been waiting already for this purchase, we just got over COVID, right? We just got over everything that was going on in the market, and it seems like things are finally settling down. I saw on average prices of used vehicles were going down. I even saw I think a Manheim market report where the auction was trending down a little bit. And the reason I believe the time to buy is now is because of that hysteria that might be caused, right? Because we don't actually know what's going to happen with the strike. And if the people that haven't done enough research, if the people that are not sure what's going to happen, if it really spikes up, right, then it's definitely going to go crazy. But let's say, right, some of our viewers, some other people might be asking, like, okay, what if they settle the strike tomorrow, right? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to take to settle the strike?
I don't really know. I mean, probably the big three names have to accept some of the things that
There's going to be some negotiation, right? Because they've asked for a pay increase. They've asked for, I
PTO.
think, more PTO time, vacation time. I think less working hours, or again,
more.
don't quote me on this, but they've asked for a few things, right? And just think about what happens at forget the car industry, forget auto dealerships. Think about Walmart, think about Target, think about those kind of places. If prices on something go up, right? Think about a restaurant. If prices of something go up, who is that expense passed down to?
The final consumer.
The final consumer, right? If the price of chicken's gone up, right?
Final consumer.
It's not like I'm going to keep my prices the same,
right?
And still give it the same price, right? It just doesn't work like that. So even if there's a settlement that made, in my opinion, the prices are still going to go up, right? Because somebody has to pay for a little bit more, even if they don't agree at a 40% pay increase. If they agree at 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever number they agree on, that's still more money, right? And we're not talking about one or two people. We're talking about thousands of people getting a pay increase, right? If there is more vacation time, right? What is essentially more vacation time? That somebody is getting paid while they're not at work.
Correct.
Right? That's going to cost more money, right? So I believe even if there's not hysteria, even if this all, God willing, just solves itself and it doesn't turn into anything bigger than it needs to be, I believe that the consumers end up going to pick up the tab on whatever is negotiated on.
One thing that I can say, or I can understand that is going to be slightly different from COVID, is that at that time when you were mentioning that everyone was getting more money. But right now, people is not getting more money, other than the people that they might get into that negotiation and get that money. But regular people that works on totally different industries, we're not getting more money. So I think it's gonna be slightly different. But on my understanding, I'm thinking that prices are gonna go up.
Yeah, I think ultimately there is gonna be an increase. Hopefully for the sake of all my clients that I love, it's nothing major, but I imagine there's going to be some sort of increase, right? Now at the same time, Ford, GM, and Stellantis aren't the only brands out there, right? So I think there is going to be a little bit of balancing act, right? So like at Motivation, for example, we're going to carry everything, right? So even if there's a little bit of give and take, I'm hoping everything works out. But ultimately, like if you were in the market, if you weren't sure, or if you were actually needing something, I truly believe, the way I've been answering my friends and family is make the decision right now, right? Because all the vehicles that we've had, it's not like we're gonna start raising the prices on them just because this is going on, right? We're not here trying to take advantage of the community. So I feel like as long as it always boils down to the same thing, as long as you know who you're going to do business with, you trust who you're going to do business with, I think it ultimately makes sense to make a decision right now because we're just unsure of what's going to happen in the coming days.
Probably a little joke. We're ready to be selling Tesla trucks right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious.
So I don't know what else can you tell us about this?
I mean, tell me a little bit more about, like, from the consumer aspect. What else do you think you're unsure about, or what other questions do you think our viewers or listeners might have?
I mean, to be 100% honest, I think that in some point it's very scary that as a consumer, prices might go very, very high. That's one thing that I'm gonna be feeling very concerned, because right now I'm considering buying a vehicle or getting upgrading my vehicle. So I'm just thinking like if it's the right time for me as a consumer. And on the other hand, what if I wait? What if I wait? What if I wait 3 months? What's gonna happen if I miss on that opportunity? And I'm just gonna see, wow, I'm gonna get on a vehicle that I was supposed to get at 5,000 less. So I'm feeling very worried on that particular topic. So I don't know what you can tell based on your experience, on all the years of experience that you have.
I think just because if there's two choices, either buy something right now or wait and not be sure. I think the only thing that makes the most sense to me is to buy right now, right? Because we're just not sure what's gonna happen a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. We know for sure there is gonna be a change, right? Because at the end of the day, there is gonna be some sort of resolution, in my opinion, and that expense is gonna be passed down to the consumer. May it be a little bit or a lot of it, right? That's going to be depending on exactly what the agreement is. But I believe there's going to be some sort of expense passed down. So the only thing that makes sense to me is if as long as this isn't a decision that's being made out of nowhere, right? Out of a scare tactic or out of just being unsure. If you've already been doing the research, if you've already been needing to make a purchase on a vehicle, it makes sense to do it right now. If you're going to do it out of fear, I would say definitely contact somebody to get a little bit more information, ask them more questions. We're happy to answer any and all questions, right? You can email us questions at sales@motivationtrucks.com. You can call the dealership directly, 404-939-9010. Ask to really talk to anybody that you like to, and we'll be more than happy to get you all the information. But I think through this time where even like somebody like me is unsure, right? I don't have all the answers. I'm going to do my research and I'm just going to kind of play the field, right? I'm going to stick to the plan.
And it's something that you can relate. I remember seeing this quote on a real estate post that they were saying, the time to buy is now, because prices are never going to be lower. Like every day that passes, prices are going to be higher. It's either increasing the interest rate or the price or the price, but in some point you're gonna be paying more.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I can definitely vouch for that, because I bought my house during COVID, and everybody that I know, love, and trust around me was saying it was the worst decision I could ever make. And I can say with all the confidence in the world, it was the best decision I ever made was to buy during COVID, right? We got a great interest rate, and the prices of the houses continued to climb, right? Everybody thought that, this is the peak, this is the peak, this is the peak. And for me, it was just like, I wasn't sure. I knew nothing about real estate, but I just felt like, okay, this is the research I've done. This is what I do know. And this is something that it's not like I just made the decision because of anything else other than this was the time I was going to do it anyway, right? Whether it was COVID or not, whether the prices were high or not, or whether the interest rate was high or not, that was all a part of my plan to do it along that timeline, right? So I just stuck to the plan, and I feel like that's the best thing I can say about this situation. Stick to the same plan you already had. Don't deviate from the plan. If you've already been doing it through research, if you already were looking to get into a vehicle, if you already had everything lined up, go ahead, right? Don't be scared, right? Because none of us know.
And do you think that, is there any particular, I don't know, and with all due respect, right, but is there any particular brand or something that we probably know right now because they're producing, but because they produced like months ago, but right now that they're on strike, I imagine that they are not producing what they produce on a daily basis, right? So you think that we should avoid those particular brands, I don't know, in 2, 3, or 6 months?
I don't think that's a really good question, and I'll go ahead and say I don't know the answer. But I am somebody who is brand loyal, and I would again stick to the plan, right? I'm not gonna let whatever is kind of out of nowhere change me completely, right? Like if I've like, again, we're in the truck business, right? I'm not going to stop buying F-150s, 250s, 350s. I'm not going to stop buying Silverados, and I'm not going to stop buying Ram products. It's just not going to happen. Strike or no strike, agreement or no agreement, prices high or low, I'm just not going to stop doing it, right? Same thing happens for our clients, right? I would stick to what you know and you're comfortable with, because the last thing you want to do is change your mind based on something that you don't know enough about. So either do the research and make an educated decision, or stick to your gut, right? It's really that simple for me. Like, don't change it up based on not having all the right information.
And is there any, I remember we were having a conversation on previous days about this topic, that apparently the whole industry is losing like 2 million a day. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I don't know what the exact number is, and I don't want to misquote anything, but from what I understand, every day that they're on strike, the manufacturers are losing money. Right?
And who gets affected at the end of the day? Final consumers? A country? Who gets affected?
I think we all get affected a little bit, right? Because even though there's a strike going on, it's not like the people on strike are getting paid fully anyway either, right? Their families are being affected. Their kids are being affected, and think about it like this: the holidays are right around the corner, right? There could be some people in situations where they can't afford to go that long, right? And I don't know, right, everybody's situation, but and then there's the manufacturer, right? I don't know what they can or can't afford to lose. I imagine a lot, right? It's Ford that we're talking about. It's GM that we're talking about. It's Stellantis that we're talking about. I imagine they got a little bit deeper pockets than you and I, right?
I guess.
We're gonna be affected, right? We're in the business, right? And I think, again, the best thing we can do is continue our research and stay educated through what's going on, right? Even though this was an emergency episode, I don't know all the facts, right? And there's more that I could be reading up on. And I think we should probably, and I'm coming up with this idea live, I think we should probably follow up on this with some reels or some TikToks or something to continue to give out updates as we find out more.
That's a very good idea, actually. We definitely will implement those ideas, because for me, because I always try to relate with me. There's some topics about the car industry that I have no clue.
And let me tell you something on that note too, right? There's a lot of people that don't even know what's going on.
Exactly. Like, I'm in the business. What about the people that is not in the business?
Right. So there's only really, I mean, there's three types of people I've encountered about this situation. The group that I train with, the people I look up to, my mentors and things like that. It seems like to me they have the most information, and I'm looking to them for information. That's making me read up on it and things like that. Then there's the people that kind of know about it, and in my opinion, there's a huge fear about it. They don't know enough about it, but it's something that they're scared of. But then there's some people that I'm asking, hey, do you know about the strike? Do you know what's going on? What's your opinion on it? They're like, what are you talking about? All right. And these are people in the business, right? These are people at body shops. These are people working at auctions. These are like these are people that I think should at least know something is going on, right? I even asked some of the clients in our showroom, right? And I was surprised. I think out of 5 to 6 people I asked, only one kind of knew what was going on, right? So I think that to me, that's probably the scariest part. The fact that either there's misinformation out there, or there's not enough information, and people might make a decision that's not educated.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. So I don't know. You have any other information or topic that you want to address about this?
You know, I think on this is all I got. Okay. And this is way more than I thought I had. Right. So I did my best to do a crash course. And again, I can't emphasize enough through this entire episode. This is all just opinions, right? There is more information out there. This is just my best opinion that I could form together, but there are real experts speaking on to this, and if people really need more information, I think they should go out and look for it, and we will be the best source that we can be. That's just what I think.
And one thing that just to close it is that no matter what, regardless of the situation, that we're gonna take care of our customers, regardless Absolutely. Of what's happening out there. We're gonna take care of our customers. So, do you agree on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the testament to that is there's not many dealers that can say that they sold somebody a vehicle during COVID that can come back and trade it in. 90% of those people are super upside down, right? They paid for a vehicle way more than what it was worth and what it is frankly worth today. And they totally took advantage of their clients, right? Those addendums of 10,000 over, 20,000 over that I think, right? A lot of people got taken advantage of, and I felt like motivation kind of just stuck to its roots, right? And it's not like we gave away vehicles, right? It's not like that at all. We were definitely were profitable during that time, just like the next guy. But I felt like we were fair. And now when all of our clients are coming back that are trading their vehicles in, we can actually do business with them. That door isn't closed. So I know no matter what happens out there, being fair and being transparent, that's not up for negotiation.
Great. That's who we are.
That's who we are.
Right. So I would say that in this emergency episode, we are good to go. We try to share all the information that that Rahim had and the questions that I needed to standing on a point of view of people that doesn't know about the topic. So I hope that you guys are informed of this topic, that you collected some information, and let's close it, Rahim.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Tune in to the next episode of MotorCast, baby.
All right.